On Confidence Mastery podcast today, we have Marley Jaxx, who is an incredible lady with an amazing story that you are going to really enjoy listening to. She's an incredible marketer, filmmaker, and we both have lion tattoos on the same arm. You're not going to want to miss this one. There are so many great nuggets of information, so enjoy. Yes, so welcome to the Confidence Mastery podcast. I'm so excited. How long have we known each other online?
Well, I met you like when I had a whole different name too. Like it was a different lifetime ago. So I think it was like 2018.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
What was the whole name change?
A horrific divorce.
Oh, fuck. That's a great place to start.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine now that it's over. But you know those things you look back on that it was like, oh, it was the hardest time of my life, but it was so good. You can only understand it on the
once you've been through it.
Yeah.
Because I always say that the hard times are what make us stronger. Mm-hmm. However, we don't appreciate the hard times in the moment. Yeah. It's only later that you look back and you think, what's so great now? So would you like to tell people who you are and what you do?
My name is Marley Jaxx. I started out as a dental hygienist who was so bored of cleaning teeth. And I knew that I always wanted to do something creative. My dream as a kid was I wanted to make movies. And now I'm starting to. Isn't that amazing? I didn't give myself permission when I was younger because I just heard like, oh, no, that doesn't actually happen to people.
Who does it happen to then?
Leonardo DiCaprio, and that's the only person. I feel like I created a shadow career making movies for entrepreneurs on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do is I help people grow their business on YouTube and with content. And we've scaled channels to hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, or we even have small niche channels that make 7 figures. Mm-hmm. And then I realized recently in the last couple of years, like, wait, I've built this. Of course I could make movies. It's just shifting the permission and the ambition. So now I'm starting to make movies too.
I love the giving yourself permission. So I tell people all the time, if you give yourself permission to do something, you'll make it happen.
And I think people don't realize that that's the only thing that they need. Mm-hmm. It's just what's the saying of like, creation is first created in the imagination. Mm-hmm. Imagination precedes creation, something like that. Something very Walt Disney.
Well, they make movies.
They do. He's a big inspiration for me. I love his story that he bet it all every time and would lose it, but just never gave up on this big dream, this big vision. And he really didn't even become wealthy until later in his life.
It's like a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like later, people are like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not wealthy enough. I'm 30. Like, oh, that's fine.
Well, what skills have you created, or what experiences have you created that would you trade that for money? No.
Because I think that about my life and my life experience and what I was doing 10 years ago. Would not do it now. But has it helped me to be a better person now? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you have a particular movie that was
like as a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched every single Disney movie. And I was like obsessive about the Disney movies. And I think
I love the Little Mermaid.
I was actually just going to say Little Mermaid. Look at your hair. Like I should have guessed.
If that wasn't the reason for the hair, but it fits.
The Little Mermaid was my parents' first date. And then when I was growing up, like I loved The Little Mermaid. And I think that her story of like her giving up her voice to the sea witch, only to realize like it was her voice all along that would create her dreams, is very symbolic for me.
That's a nicer way to look at it.
Yeah. Imagine like trading your own voice. There's something just like so symbolic there of that is the most powerful asset you have.
And you did that recently, didn't you?
Tell me, what did I do?
The whole cancel culture.
Oh, that's like, what? Yeah. So I made a documentary on cancel culture, and it was amazing and terrifying, and that's another thing that like I don't know if I'd do it again. I probably will, just in a different aspect. But we did a documentary on cancel culture where it was a social experiment to see if I could get myself canceled in 7 days. And
you did.
I did. It worked.
What gave you the confidence to do that?
Confidence comes after the action, not before. So I kind of went into it blindly with like, I trust that I'm strategic enough to figure it out along the way, but it was a real social experiment, and we had to adapt and pivot, because even while we were in the social experiment, and I don't want to give it away because I hope people will go watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. And so it's won awards at the Manhattan Film Festival, LA Documentary Film Festival. We submitted it for an Emmy. We haven't heard yet if it's nominated, but like it's gotten some really amazing response. But yeah, while we were in the middle of the experiment, like it's a live experiment. You're getting genuine public reactions, and sometimes the reactions went a different way than we wanted them to go. So I had to post, we fabricated a text conversation and posted that as a screenshot online to get more hate to come towards me, which is terrifying too, because it's my real reputation on the line. And there's also the risk that what if the people don't see the conclusion that this is a documentary and they actually just think that I'm this horrible person. But I actually don't, I haven't heard of people that really thought that I got arrested or that these texts were true. I haven't had anyone come back to me to be like, what happened with your arrest? They all know that.
They know the end.
Yeah, they know the end.
It's an interesting experiment to do, because people, that actually happens to people.
Right.
And
I interviewed them.
Yeah.
There was one man that was really interesting. He went to jail for a tax mistake. Like how horrific. Also, like I don't know. I hope that I'm hiring the professionals. And he thought he was doing everything right too. He hired accountants.
So it was a genuine mistake.
It was a mistake. But the way that the news framed it was like that he fraud or terrible things, and then sometimes people don't even hear what is he in jail for. It's just, oh, he's in jail, and he's been being punished next to people who were like violent crime offenders for a tax mistake. And at that point, though, like the reputation is already set. How do you
change that? Yeah. I was watching a documentary recently on the jail system, and then I think it's called Unlocked, and they were all of the people of different ages and different things that they've done all together, and you wonder how it changes a person being around those kinds of people because of one mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that's an entirely other kind of conversation.
And your environment is everything. I was having this conversation with a friend the other day of like, I used to live in Canada, so I was born and raised, and now I live in America. That's actually really, when I was a kid, I printed out the American national anthem and put it on my wall, and I would like rehearse it, imagining that one day I would live in America. Look, I was like, that was my vision board. I manifested it. But yet, like the environment that I'm in, from Canada to America, and I have a lot of family in Canada, but I have like my entrepreneur family in America, and the mindsets are so different that when I come back to Canada, and not that like one is right or wrong, it's just things are so different, and the environment changes you. What's that saying of like the same, like if you put an egg in hot water, it'll boil. If you put
the potato
hard.
Yeah. It's the environment affects you as a person, depending on the person.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something. How do you feel about what happened to Canada throughout the past 4 years?
As in like the pandemic stuff? I mean, I left.
But looking in, do you think, are you left because of it?
I didn't leave. I left like while the pandemic was starting.
Yeah.
So it was too soon for me to say that was the reason. There were multiple reasons. I was going through divorce. I needed a new environment. I wanted to be with friends that, like I lived with my best friend during the pandemic, which was amazing because I know a lot of people were isolated and alone, and I had just gone through my divorce, which was very painful for me. So I'm so grateful to my friend that she took me in. I was living in her guest bedroom with her husband, her teen boys. Like they took me in, which is amazing.
Good to have friends like that.
Like I just love her forever for that. And then that's what brought me to my boyfriend, my love of my life. Like now I'm just so grateful that this all happened. But like we were saying at the beginning, while you're in it, you're like, this is awful.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a way. When you're in the fog, you can't see a way out. So, but yeah, like at the beginning of 2020, when this was all happening, it was just like, I've never really been someone that like I never listened to the news. I get my news from social media, and even that is, you know, the algorithm feeds me what I'm clearly biased towards.
Yeah.
So when there was like some hysteria, I just never really bought into it. And then when I left Canada, a lot of people were like, "Are you crazy? We're in the middle of a pandemic. You're going into the storm." And I was like, I just don't subscribe to that. And I think that your mindset of what you're walking into is everything too. Like you hear people that, you know, they can get the same diagnosis, but one has just this steadfast outlook, like, I'm going to get through this, and the other one is a victim. Which one's going to have a better outcome?
Exactly.
So I didn't subscribe to it. And
I did a few podcasts talking about it and the way that all of the governments, their marketing was phenomenal. Like, if you look at that, you can learn a lot for marketing purposes. Like the way that they, you know, pushed fear on everyone and got people to stay at home. And in England, it was stay at home or you'll kill your granny.
Oh,
like
that's some terrible guilt trip.
Yeah. And people then subscribe to it because that's all they were seeing. And like, it's like looking at that, and then you've got people getting cancelled. So that's why I find it really interesting that you did that experiment and showed people what's going on.
It was a really good experiment for a few reasons. Obviously, like, I think it made a good point, and it was also a demonstration of using your voice despite how people react to you. Like, if you believe in something but you're afraid to be disruptive, you're like, there are so many people who quit because things are hard, and no one knows their name. History is littered with them, and no one will remember them. And it's the people that have to speak up. And if there's a fear of cancel culture instead of using your voice, well, here's an experiment. Here's an example of how we did it. And was the cancel culture stressful? Was it bad? Yeah, a little bit. But then there was also these two sides, because we want to get strong reactions, because people don't take action until they feel something. So there were people that loved it, and there were people that hated it. There's no marketing in the middle. It went so much further because of the strong emotional reactions. If it was just like, yeah, cute video, it was okay. It wouldn't
get the result you wanted, would it?
It wouldn't have. Like, it's exciting to say, like, it's won awards and submitted for an Emmy, but what we really wanted was the conversations to be started around it, and they sure were. Like, it was months of people, I hated it, I loved it, this is what it, or even now when there is another cancel culture thing, my video gets a big spike because it starts getting sent out to more people.
So a lot of people that I speak to, a lot of my audience, they're worried about saying these things in case this happens, in case they get all the hate. How did you deal with the hate side of it?
I think when you are faced with resistance in response to speaking up for something you believe in, it's just a test of how much do you actually believe in what you say you do. So yeah, it was stressful, and yeah, I don't wish for hate or for anyone to receive that, but it was like, would I change it? No. This is why I did this, for a reason, and I knew that the outcome was going to be big conversations. We knew that and we played it all out in our minds before of like, okay, what happens if people don't see that it was for a documentary and that they actually think that I got arrested and all the other things? Well, we would just keep the campaign going. We wouldn't just be like, oh, well, we suck. Okay, we'll just hide in the corner now. The campaign keeps going. And so I think that you see people that they get that resistance online, or people that are hating on them. And if they back down, it's almost like an admission of guilt. But if they stand up strong and they're like, no, I really, like, look at Elon Musk when the advertisers are trying to boycott him and he's like, F you. Does he give it up? No. And some people are like, that's Elon. Okay, if he would have been like, I'm so sorry. Okay, never mind.
It's like you're not being true to what you said in the first place if you back down like that. You have to stand your ground.
And there are people that love Elon and people that hate Elon. Do you think he's crying over it? Do you think he's losing money over it? Maybe losing some money, but then he's also making up for it in other areas because people who respect that, like, I think it was Grant Cardone that was like, I will advertise on Twitter because he really agreed with him on that. So it's some people, but we want push-pull language in marketing. We want people that were like, hey, you're not our customer. I want to repel you. And then the people that are like, I'm obsessed with that. Yes, I'm all in.
I think that's a really good point, because people, they think, oh, I can help everyone. Yes, you can. But if you're not being at least a little bit polarizing, how are you really going to find the right people to work with?
Yeah. And it's polarizing, and it's also, this is something that I get a lot, is people be like, well, you talk about disruptive marketing. I don't want to be abrupt, or I don't want to be offensive. And I'm like, that's not the point. It doesn't have to be offensive, in your face, F you. But look at throughout history, people that have been disruptive. Jesus, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. People loved them. People hated them.
Yep.
They're remembered. They stood up for what they believed in. They were willing to die for what they believed in.
I say this about Hitler as well. Like, whilst I don't agree with what he did,
Of course.
he was very smart. He got people on board. He was a great speaker. So you can learn from that, but don't do those horrendous
Right.
things. Like,
And he was very much, he was good at manipulating, because what they needed, what the people needed, was they needed food, they needed jobs, they needed money. And when they're in a place of survival, and here's this man that, even though he's suggesting horrific things, they needed to survive. Another thing that I heard about Hitler that was interesting was that he was rejected from art school. Imagine if he would have had the opportunity to be an artist. Like, would that have changed the entire world?
Yeah. Where would we be now?
Did he act out of a rejection wound?
Maybe.
A
lot of people do. That's
Right.
that we come from wounded places.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of work on that. My wounds, and but healing through stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes me a better person. So, but yeah.
And a lot of people don't
Imagine that.
even know what their wounds are.
Right.
They're not willing to look at it, and they live their life the same way all the time. Every day is the same, and it's like they're just living out their time instead of...
It's not living, is it? It's an existence. You have to go the other side to feel outside of your comfort zone, to go and experience life. Can you imagine if you never went to another country?
And some people are fine with that. My parents, they go on vacation to the same resort every year. They love this resort that they go to in Mexico. And I've been there dozens of times now. But I like, their safety is in predictability.
Yeah.
I love variety. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's just like two different flavors.
Yeah. And for me, I love to go to different places and see culture and experience that. What can I learn from these people? What can I bring back into my life?
Yeah.
So you're here in London.
Yeah. And there is a part of being in London where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. And it's like the discomfort of stepping out of the safety bubble and trying new things. And am I going to get lost along the way? Yes. So that's also part of the adventure.
I think that's a good point to make. Like, getting lost is a part of the adventure.
Yeah.
Because how do you ever find yourself without getting lost?
Yeah. Oh, and getting lost in like relationships, getting lost in careers, friendships, opportunities.
And some of the hardest things to do are to leave behind the things that don't work for you, which is what you've done, and created a more amazing life for yourself.
Yeah, like leaving. I mean, there's multiple things, like friendships, leaving the safety of a 9-to-5, leaving a marriage. I had cancer and then took a completely unconventional route with that. Like, they told me to have a hysterectomy and go all the... I can get like trigger talking about it. Like, it's because it seems so scary now that is so normal for people to just... This is what you're supposed to do when there's this whole other world that's kind of unknown. And then there's also a stigma around woo-woo, alternative.
But this is
that is natural.
It's natural. That's the thing.
It's like medicine is alternative. It really is.
I was having this exact same conversation the other day. It's like, why is alternative medicine seem to be alternative when it's not?
Yeah.
That's where it all comes from, nature.
And there's a place, obviously, for pharmaceuticals and things like that. And it's just very if it's follow the financial incentive, and you're going to start to see some...
follow the money.
Yeah. Some...
What made you to decide to go the more natural route? Because I've got quite a few people in my life going through some at the moment.
I love talking about it.
Yeah.
It was other people talking about it that gave me the exposure to start thinking, should I consider that?
Yeah. Because
otherwise it was just, this is the only path I have, and this is what the doctor's telling me to do, and the doctor's an authority, and they've gone to school for so many years that I just have to believe them, right? I was diagnosed with cervical adenocarcinoma, so cancer in the glands around my cervix. And at first I was told you need to have a hysterectomy and we need to do this soon and you're going to need to take like 6 to 12 weeks off to recover, which as entrepreneurs, I'm like,
no,
what? How do I scale? Like I have a marketing campaign calendar. Where am I going to fit that in? So, you know, luckily I took some time to think it over instead of just like, yeah, let's do it next week. And while I was first processing the diagnosis, because it was one of those things that like, that happens to other people, not to me. I was 31 at the time and just in shock. Like I got the diagnosis like 3 days before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And then I had to go in the next week to like meet with the doctor in person. It's funny, like when I was in like before you go to the doctor, they take your blood pressure and whatever, put you through. And the nurse is like, I'm so sorry. You must have had such a hard Christmas. And I'm like, why? What do you mean? Huh? I don't know if she was new or something, but that bedside manner, I'm just not sure if it was like.
But some people would take that really hard and that would ruin their Christmas.
Well, it would have if I was phased out. Like, it's like I got the call and I put it on speaker and Steven was with me, so he was listening to the rest of it. And I was just like, what did she say? I
didn't process it.
I didn't process it for a while. Where was I? So they told me to have the hysterectomy and they told me like, this is serious and, you know, kind of ticking time bomb and sorry if you want to have kids, so we got to get this out. And, yeah, I was just in a fog for a long time, but being an entrepreneur and having this history of always doing things differently, I just felt like don't schedule the surgery just yet. Also, because I had business stuff to do and couldn't take 12 weeks off conveniently. And then I posted about it on Facebook and it felt really weird too. Like one of the things that I had a hard time with sharing it publicly because I felt guilty for all the attention that I received.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. It was a really weird feeling because I needed help and it was hard to ask for help. And I also didn't want, like, in entrepreneurship and business, like, attention traffic is something that we are intentionally trying to build, but that's not the message that I wanted to be talking about.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And I had friends that were so amazing and reaching out, and there was this one friend in particular that I was like, I shared in the moment, like, I feel when I get a message, like my heart sinks and I feel so bad. Like, why do I feel bad that I'm getting this attention? Like and she's like, maybe it's that you need attention and it's okay to need attention. And that's part of the lesson I'm here right now. And now I can look back on it and be like, I'm so grateful that I did reach out for help, even though it was hard, because in that I had people that messaged me that they were naturopaths, they're functional medicine doctors, or they had their own experiences. I have a friend that he wrote a book called Chris Beat Cancer. His story was he had like stage 3 colon cancer at age 26, and like in the hospital he did have a surgery to remove large tumor, but then after they're like, you need chemo, you need radiation, all these stuff, and they fed him in the hospital sloppy Joe, and he's like, this seems wrong.
Yeah,
how am I in the hospital and they're feeding me a sloppy Joe?
There are some private hospitals, they give you alcohol.
What?
Yeah here,
as if that's gonna help. Oh my god.
I can't remember who it was, but they were offered a Heineken. It was in the fridge.
Jeez.
Yeah. And you're in hospital.
Healthcare versus sick care. Like, they're trying to make you
sick
to get more money out of you. So I had friends that started reaching out that were like, hey, here's this book you could read or this thing you could consider. And a lot of it went over my head at the time because I really was just in this, like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And I was kind of in this victim mode. There's this, like, intoxication of being in victim mode. There's, like, I think there's, like, a dopamine release that comes from feeling like you're right when something bad happens, but it's the mindset that will perpetuate bad things happening. But thankfully, I had these amazing friends that just, like, checked in on me. Hey, here's this book. Read this thing. Could we have a call? I had this one woman, her name is Dr. Kelly Shockley. I love her so much. She is now my doctor. And she was like, let's just, before you take out any body parts, can we just do some tests?
Easy.
It'll only take a week. I'm not, we're not putting things off. And if you still want to have the surgery, I will support you in that. But let's just do these tests to find out. And thank God for those tests, because it showed me a full body workup of everything going on in my body so that I could actually understand why the cancer was caused. Because if you just take out body parts without knowing why, it's like painting over a water leak.
You need to know, this is the issue, isn't it? They treat the symptoms but not look at the root cause.
Exactly.
If you look at the root cause, you can cure the root cause.
And if we take out the body parts, is that so? No,
what else might happen? Exactly.
And then the complications of that, because like if you take out body parts, they're not just there as an accessory. Like skeletal, sexual, hormonal, like so many changes are going to happen. And it's so infuriating when I would go to the doctor and ask those questions, like, so if I have a hysterectomy, like nothing, you're just not going to have a period anymore, which is actually a great benefit. Really?
Wow.
Really? I know you're the doctor, but I don't believe
you're going through different things that hasn't happened to them, so they don't really know.
And I don't want to like vilify them, and I'm not trying, because there's a great place for them at specific times, but also people need to be aware of all the options, but also know that that's just their standard of care. That's just all they know and what they've been told to push. And maybe some are evil and financially just like, what's going to make me the most money? I'm not saying that they all are. And I don't even think that mine was, but I'm just so glad that because I shared my story. That's like the thing about creating content online. We talk about like, you never know who's listening that you could inspire. You also never know who's listening that is going to tell you something that you need. Because I was in victim mode. I was about to have the surgery. I was probably going to enter a whole world of complications potentially, and I know that at the time I didn't have the right mindset going into it too. So
you got help and helped people by sharing your story.
Because now I share my story, and I love, like, if anyone's like watching or listening to this has questions, like DM me. I will send you all my resources, and I have some videos on my YouTube channel. And that's another funny thing though, like I will share that story and some people are like, screw you, this is misinformation and how dare you. I'm like,
I'm living proof.
I'm living. Like, would you rather that I died?
Well,
this is my story. This is what was true for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, I'm not vilifying either way. Just here's another option, because I wish that I wish that I knew the option sooner. And I'm so glad that I did find the option. And then there's also rude people that are like, you're lying and you're faking this for 15 minutes of fame. Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's them projecting insecurity onto them.
Yeah.
Onto you.
And you know what's funny, when I only got like 2 comments like that. I don't even say anything, but people in the comments all respond, like people that know me or people that are following me. And sometimes when you get negative comments online, you just
wait for other people to
take care of it. You don't need to fight.
I think that's a great point to make to people. Like, don't worry what people are going to say, because they're going to judge you whether you are rich or poor or happy or sad.
And if there's 100 people that are like, screw you, and there's one person that goes, that changed my life, and I was about to do this, and now I got to have a baby or have a healthy life or walk my kids down the aisle. Like, I don't care about the 99. That wasn't for you.
It wasn't for them. No, exactly. So how do you make everything work with family and entrepreneurship? Because so many people, but I don't have the time.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have time. You create time. Yeah. You create time. Like, what is most important to you? I think what's the saying of like, show me your bank account, show me your calendar. That's how to know what's important. Because you can say, oh, my family is the most important. But if I look at your calendar, where are you actually spending the time? And your bank account, where are you actually spending the money? I'm a stepmom.
Yep.
Steven has 3 girls that I'm so, so grateful that I get to be stepmom to. And I never imagined myself being a stepmom. But when I met them and met Steven, it was just like, I sometimes will say, like, they have my soul's DNA. Like, I didn't birth them, but they got my soul's DNA. And just the moment I met them was like this crazy magnetic attraction. I wasn't even supposed to meet them the day that I did. It was like this big 4th of July block party, which as a Canadian, oh my gosh, have you ever been to America on 4th of July?
Not 4th of July, not yet.
Oh my gosh, it is crazy.
We have 4th of July parties in Mallorca.
Oh really?
Yeah,
cool.
But it's obviously not a patch on America. fireworks.
I was at this was my first 4th of July. It's a block party. There were hundreds of people and fireworks everywhere. Just and even driving home, like you're driving home is all around. I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, I'm at this 4th of July block party. Like I said, there's hundreds of people, and Steven and his girls are there. I'm not even trying to meet them because we were just newly dating, and we were very slow, and we actually let the kids kind of lead. That they kind of think that it was their idea to get us together because it was like, hey, we should invite Marley over. Meanwhile, like, we're dating for talent. Lead. But the day that I met them, they just came and talked to me, and I wear this Aura ring. I love Aura ring.
Me too.
And yeah, it's so fun. It's like the first app I open every day. In our middle, Maya, she's like playing with my hand. She goes, "What's this?" And I'm like, "A ring. Are you married to a husband?" She's like 6 at the time. And I'm like, "No, I'm not." She goes, "Do you want to marry our dad?" I'm like, "Whoa, I have to go." Because I didn't want them to get attached. But then I'm leaving. She's like, "I love you."
That's cute.
And yeah, they were. And I met them again 6 months later because we weren't trying to meet them, and they remembered me.
That's good.
Kids have crazy.
They do. They take in everything.
Yeah. Anyway, it's I never imagined myself being a stepmom, and now like I can't imagine my life without them. So that said, we have them 50-50. So I know that I'm gonna give this advice as someone that I only have my kids half the time. But when I do have my kids, it's like I schedule things so that like when they're home, I want to be as present as I can. However, that doesn't mean that like I'm not. A lot of the times, like they will see us working, or if we have a function, we take them with us.
Certainly a good example.
Exactly. Like, and I think that also creates emotional intelligence in kids to be able to see what their parents are going through, or even see the tough stuff that they're going through. Like I had someone that was like mean to me online. And I had to deal with it and whatever, figuring out, responding and whatever was happening, or, and we just shared that with the kids. Like, yeah, you know what, that kid on the playground that's mean to you, like it still happens as an adult.
And some people don't grow up.
Yeah, unfortunately. And guess what? You just still have to be the one to deal with it. The common denominator is always going to be you. So we kind of just like bring them into it. And now it's cool that they're asking questions like, how do I make money? We want to go to Disneyland. How can we make money so that we can go to Disneyland?
How? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's always how.
Like,
people say,
right place.
Yeah. People say, oh, I can't afford this. Well, ask yourself how.
How can I afford this?
How can I afford this? And then your brain starts thinking and you find the solution. Otherwise, you're shutting yourself down.
It's like the permission thing that we were talking about too. Instead of, can I make a movie? How can I make a movie? How do I figure that out? Who are the right people? A lot of times it's who, not how.
Who, not how. Yeah.
Is it one relationship that will mentor you, will bring you onto a set, will introduce you to an opportunity, and then just walking out that opportunity? I really think that if you set your sight on a vision, and it's like not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of if you will keep at it until it does.
And when it happens.
Yeah.
Which brings you to London. Do you want to tell people why you're here?
I don't know. I'm here for a speaking engagement. I've never been to London before. And what's crazy is like a year and a half ago, I just had this idea pop into my head of like, wouldn't it be cool to have a speaking engagement like on the other side of the world, like somewhere I've never been before, all expenses paid. And in my head, I said London. And then this opportunity came up. And I've never had a speaking engagement on this side of the world. It's always in America or Canada. So I was like, oh, I manifested. Okay, what else can I think of? So yeah, I'm speaking at this event, and I went to go see Buckingham Palace and having some tea with you, with milk in it.
Tea and biscuits.
I've never had milk in my tea before, and I'm really enjoying it.
I'm really pleased because tea is like the staple. Like a cup of tea solves everything.
That's nice.
If you've got a problem, make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's not just the tea; it's the time it takes to make the tea.
You thinking about it?
Yeah, processing time.
I like it.
Yeah. So I think we should tell people about tattoos.
Oh yeah, we noticed this when we both walked in. Like, what are the chances that we both have lion tattoos on the same place? What's the story behind yours?
I like lions.
I love lions. There's a lot of lion statues here, I've noticed.
Yeah. The lion is the England animal.
Okay. Spirit animal.
I don't know the history of it. I probably should, because I have one on my arm.
Yeah.
But it's about the energy and owning the room. And that's something for me, is having the confidence to go, this is who I am, and being the leader of the pack and helping people to get to the other side. And when all of the groups are put together, people end up calling me their leader and the boss. And I never saw myself as that kind of person. And I see the lion as a symbol of status and helping people through, like bringing people together. The communities that we create for ourselves are everything. And when people come to me and say, the boss, and I'm like, that makes me feel good, because I feel like I lead from the front. I am a demonstration. It's the same with my health and fitness. It's who am I to tell you to be healthy, she says, with tea and biscuits in front of us. If I'm not getting my steps in every day, if I'm not learning to sleep better, because that's my nemesis at the moment, hence the aura. And showing that you can travel and you can do things and you can find the time. Like, what's your priorities?
And lions are they seem very royal, very fierce, very, there's also this thing of like lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. And we just talked about that.
And they're protective.
Yeah. They also sleep a lot, which sounds like you don't.
No, I do not. But I'm working on it. I'm working with a hypnotherapist, as well as other things like dealing with trauma and wounding and all of the fun stuff that you have to confront. And I'm in a really good place at the moment. I'm really happy. But then I did this task the other week of, let's write down the timeline of everything that's ever happened. I was like, do I really want to do this right now? Like, I'm happy. I was like, okay, let's do it. So you have to be open to these things. So, and I'm very self-aware now, whereas I never used to be. And I wrote everything down, and it took a while. It's like, actually, I'm doing good. You know?
There's a really cool exercise. There's a TED Talk about it called Homework for Life, where at the end of every day, you just write like a one-sentence, one-liner of whatever that highlight of the day was. And so, today could be like, had tea with milk in it for the first time while doing an amazing interview. And
that better be on your list tonight.
That will be the one. But like sometimes it's really cool to go, see the day by day, and one sentence can highlight it. Like I love this one. My homework of the day sentence was, our middle girl came into my room and she hugs my pillow and she goes, "Is this what Canada smells like?" What? I just thought that was so cute. Like, I smell like Canada, I guess.
Yes. So tell us about your lion.
Oh, my lion. I love this lion. So I got this in Nashville the day after I spoke at an event called Funnel Hacking Live, which was in front of an audience of 5,000 people. And that was like a dream to me. It was something that I had been saying even publicly for over a year, that I want to speak on that stage. And there's even a video of me the year before at the event where I'm like pointing up and I'm like, next year I'm going to be on that stage, which was really cool to share that video the next year from stage, to be like,
I made this happen.
What I didn't imagine in that vision was that I would be going through a divorce at the same time. And no one ever goes into a marriage hoping that, like, I hope that we break up in a few years and that we have to divide our assets and that we go through a lot of scarcity and fear and, tear each other apart in the process. So it was like this pinnacle, incredible, pivotal moment in my career, while at the same time my personal life is falling apart. And so that was January 2020, right before the whole world fell apart. We were breaking up like October, November. He left the house for the last time in November. And end of December, I knew that like this big speaking engagement is coming up in a month, and I don't want to enter the stage with my married name, because now there's a whole bunch of pain around this name, and it's just not me anymore. And I was at my parents' house, and I said to my mom, "Mom, you named me once. I need you to name me again. Like, just, I need a new last name. And my maiden name is like impossible to pronounce. It's Dutch, and so like the letters don't even make sense for enunciation. And And I had a picture on my phone. It was actually my phone case. It was this beautiful picture of a lion that I actually came across at like a Home Goods or whatever, like a whatever furniture store. This lion that when I was just walking down the aisle, just browsing, did a double take, like, wow, this lion is stunning. And so I bought the picture, and then I bought a phone case that had the exact same picture because I just loved this lion. And so when I'm saying like, Mom, I need you to name me again, I was like, I wanted to feel the way that this lion makes me feel. Just it's powerful, it's raw, it's whatever name, just whatever you come up with. 30 seconds later, she says, Jaxx.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like,
what? Did you instantly love it?
Where did that come from? I loved it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, it just popped in my head. Like, how do you spell it? Jade with 2 X's. And so we're like, doing the autograph, we're signing, we're writing it down. And that was it. Like there was no other options on the table. I didn't ask anyone for their opinion. I didn't run it by anyone. It was just like, I am Marley Jaxx. I forgot, like even now, I forget that I had previous names before. It just feels like I've always been Marley Jaxx. It's nowhere near any of our family names. Just popped in her head one day, and we looked it up. This was like the validation. We looked up the meaning of it, and it was someone that can overcome any obstacle life throws its way. And I was going through a lot of obstacles at that time. And so it was like, that was it. And so went online, changed it on Facebook, because that's how it's official, right? I changed my name online and then just went silent. And kind of had people be like, what is this? What's that? Because I hadn't even announced my divorce at this point. But my name changed, and then just like went silent for a bit. And then I think like a week later, made a video, which is still, and people still find this video. It's great. It's still online on my YouTube and on my Facebook, of me explaining my name change and just kind of saying like, my marriage has ended, and I know a lot of you are following me, and you know that I'm about to have this big pivotal moment in my career that I'm speaking on stage at Funnel Hacking Live that I've said publicly is like a dream come true. And I really debated in when to change my name with this coming up, because I don't want to be Marley the divorce girl. I really want this to be a story of perseverance, and I'm like writing that story as I'm going through it, because I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm going day by day. It's like you got to sit through the rainbow, or sit through the rain before you can see the rainbow, and that's like where I'm at right now. And so I'm just going to very transparently share the journey with you of like getting to this stage. And the next few weeks leading up to speaking at this event, I publicly shared what I was doing. And I had another speaking engagement before, which was interesting because I went to it, and it was like my first one with my name, Marley Jaxx. And I had a lot of people that were like, I mean, it being my first time in public since the divorce announcement and the name change, were like, I'm so sorry. How are you? And it like ruined me for a little bit. So I was kind of glad that I had that experience
new identity
before
as well.
But then I had a friend of mine that he went through a lot of health challenges, and he is also a stage speaker and does a lot of events, and he'll talk about his health challenges as part of his story of like, even though they were hard, they made him so strong. And he kind of saw me from a distance going through this, that people were like giving me this love, but at the same time kind of pity. And he was like, here's what you got to do. Just shift it right around. Like, I'm so good, thank you. How are you? Like, not to just like not take the pity, to just, I'm
Look
good.
it off.
Thank you so much. Just like hold that confidence. And he's like, they mean well. They're not trying, and like they really and that's actually that helped lead me to, how do I support friends through grief? Because you never know how someone wants, because someone does want that. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But now my go-to when someone's going through something is like, how can I be the best friend for you right now? Do you want me to listen? Do you want to hug? Do you want to sit and not talk to me? Do you want some food? Like, can I bring you something?
That's exactly what I do for people.
Right. I love that question of like, how can I be the best friend for you right now? Because it was surprising to me when I was going through cancer. I was having this conversation with a friend that I said that to, of like, how do I want? And then I said, well, how would you want support? She's like, I want you to sit by me and not talk. I was like, really? Because I'm such a verbal processor. I'm like, talk it out with me for hours. And so that one question is so powerful. So yeah.
So you did the gig.
It was
the lion.
This special. So leading up to speaking on that stage, like, the divorce was hard. There was a lot of, you know, we were both in fear and scarcity. We were going to lose stuff. And I was a lot more immature at the time, especially like going through my first divorce. And
First divorce?
First divorce. There's only divorce. It was the first time I'd ever been through something like that.
Yeah.
And leading up to this stage, while I'm still like just trying to get there, and there's unfortunately just a lot of
So how was it standing on the threats? That's not good.
well, yeah, I guess we don't need to get into that, but just I think that when someone feels like they're losing everything, you gotta try to like keep whatever you can get. And I've done a ton of therapy to be able to forgive the situation, but also forgive myself for the situation. Like I'm not saying that I was perfect in that at all. Like it was a huge eye opener for me to look back and be like, huh. If I was manipulative because I was trying to control. Like, no, it's okay. We're fine. Just be nice and just.
Okay.
You know, I think when two people are together that are not good for each other, you can both become very toxic. And it was a tough situation. It was like, you know, he wanted money. I wanted to keep what was mine. He wanted to stay together. I was like, you know, a lot of women, they will like be ending the relationship in their mind before it actually ends. So by the time it's done, it's like I was actually done a year ago. And that's like the woman's been grieving the whole time, and the man only starts to grieve now. So that was kind of what we kept bumping into.
It's interesting knowing the difference between men and women though, and how we process things.
Yeah.
How did it feel for you standing up on that stage with your new identity?
Amazing, but also terrifying. It was, and even like getting onto the stage that day, like there were emails and things that I was trying to just ignore from the divorce side of things to just be present in that moment, because it was so like I dreamed this whole thing up, but I also dreamed that I would get off the stage and run into the arms of my husband, and that was not the situation at all. But it was interesting because I like entered the stage to a standing ovation that like lasted a longer time than was really expected.
Okay.
Because I had documented my journey to it. Like people knew that I was just trying to keep myself together for this. And so I felt that love and warmth, and like a lot of people in the audience knew my personal story.
Nice.
And then at the end of my presentation, my whole 28 minutes, at the end of my presentation, I felt like I was like, I got to say something here because I know that they're kind of expecting it. It's like this elephant in the room. And so I said, like, you know, a lot of you who know me, and if you don't know me, I'm currently going through a divorce. My marriage ended, you know, about a month ago. And when I was preparing for this moment, I considered maybe I say, hey, this isn't the right time for me to do this, even though this is a dream of mine to be on the stage. Because why would anyone listen to me when my life is falling apart, when I clearly don't have it all together? But I realized that helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect. No one's is. And me sharing that story is part of what makes me Marley Jaxx, and not just another entrepreneur or marketer. And that, you know, a lot of people applauded for that. And like, that was a quotable, like, helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect. And, you know, you turn your mess into your message. And it's so crazy that like some of the peaks in my career, in my content, and my relationships with my audience were the hardest times in my life that I shared publicly, like my divorce, the cancer, because people could resonate with it and see like that was real. And not that they had to be going through divorces or cancer, but it was just like the perseverance, the story of perseverance. Or some people that did take a look at like, actually I'm not happy in my marriage, and can I change that? Can I go for something new? Or I have health issues, and is there another alternative? Whether it's that or not, or if it is just there's something hard that they're going through, and if she can persevere, I can persevere.
That's why it's so important to share your story.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people just think everything's perfect, everything's like, no.
Never.
And there's not a single person in the world that doesn't have a problem.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through something.
Yeah.
And if you can relate to somebody else, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can find the resilience, the perseverance to get through this. which makes us all human.
Yeah. And then we go to sleep better at night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Yeah.
You know, it's sometimes 5 hours now, not 4.
Oh gosh.
I did sleep 8 hours on the plane back there. So.
On a plane of all
On a
places.
plane,
That's usually not where I sleep.
No, I've perfected that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Impressive.
that's that. If I could fly every night, I'd be fine.
That is not what any of us are saying.
Oh dear. So tell us where people can find you, follow you, online stalk you, because we're fans of online stalking, just not in person, please.
Right. Follow you into the bathroom. Whoa, that has happened. Yeah, Marley Jaxx on Instagram, on YouTube. Come check out the documentaries that we made on YouTube. On Instagram, look up Marley Jaxx, and I respond to all my DMs. It's never my team; it's always me. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need anything. And I mentioned we also have this cool program called Chief Content Officer. It's a monthly membership where I'm kind of like your chief content officer. I give you a strategy every month for your content. We do something called the Get It Done Day, where we actually create our whole month of content in that day. And it's $97 a month. And it's like, obviously I'm biased, but it's like the best thing I've ever created. And to have all your content done every month for $97, done. So
what gave you the idea for that?
I wanted one. Yeah, like I created what I needed. I wanted someone that could just like give me a bundle of like, here's your content every month, and here's a community of other people who are also thinking in this way of creating like 1% content. I always say, like, if you want what the 1% have, if you do what 99% are not willing to do. And so how do we think differently than just what everyone else is doing? And if I can give you guys the direction and templates and strategies for that you can fill in the blanks for your own niche, but then we also have this Get It Done Day call where we'll ideate and show you how to create the content, no matter what your niche is. It was just what I needed, and everyone in there is so cool because they're entrepreneurs that want to create content that's different. And we do some in-person events once in a while too, which is really fun. So
I love the in-person stuff. I'm so glad we got to meet in person.
I know. I was so glad that you asked. Like the power of just being like, "Hey, I'm in London. Who's here? I am. Let's hang out." Okay.
And you got your first tea with milk.
This is special. Now it's warm and it's cold.
Oh, do you want another one? Amazing. I think we could talk for hours.
We could.
But we'll be respectful of people's time. Maybe we'll have
part two.
Yes. When I'm next stateside.
There we go. Because you need to get on a plane to sleep.
Exactly. So. And then I'll be refreshed and lovely. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for the tea and all the treats.
So yeah, make sure that you do follow and find Marley Jaxx. She's amazing, as you know from what she just said. And really good luck for tomorrow. Not that you need it. I'm really excited. I'm excited for you. And I will be telling people to go and follow you, find you, and join your Chief Content Officer.
Yeah.
CFO.
ChiefContentOfficer.co.
Okay, perfect. I'll put all the links and everything in the show notes. If you could leave people with one thing to be more confident, what would it be?
I think what I said earlier of it's not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of if you will keep at it until it does. I like that. And whether you give yourself permission to realize that can happen tomorrow, or if you need to take a little bit more time and it's going to happen a week, a month, a year from now, I think it's all just like in how strongly you believe that that's going to happen, and look for the opportunities because they're all around you. It's like one introduction can make it. With the dream of making movies, once I started publicly saying I want to make movies, people were like, "Hey, I know this person. I can help you with this. I have this." I had a call, or even like people that know people will be like, "Hey, you need to meet this person," and then I meet that person. They're like, "Hey, I'm friends with Johnny Depp's agent." Okay, like you have no idea who's going to be an introduction that you don't even know yet that is going to come. So it's like you just need to start. Speaking it, asking, honestly, is like ask and you shall receive, and there's nothing too big or too small that you can ask for. I think the universe, God, whatever you believe in, wants to delight you, and I think it's the belief in how, just the conviction and the belief in what you have. I think anything that you believe is yours without reservation will be yours.
I love that. I have this utter conviction of success.
And
like I didn't. Be so obsessed with what you want, then it will happen.
It's not, and you don't even have to know how. Like I've had this thing in my head for years of like, I'm generating $1 million a month feeling happy, playful, and free. Like that's like one of my sayings I say to it. I have no idea how. $1 million a month sounds unimaginable. Like I have no idea how. But having, like, when you set impossible goals, your identity has to change for you to create them. Your way of being has to change. Like, you think about like the 80-20%. This is a really amazing book called 10x is easier than 2x by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. That is like a must read multiple times a year kind of book. And he talks about like the 80-20 where you spend your life. Often it's the 80% you have to let go of to focus on a new 20 that is going to create those impossible goals. And yeah, it's like who not how, you're a connection away, or something's going to come up that you could have never imagined. I didn't know I was going to be here. I didn't know we were going to be talking today, but like you if you can become unattached to the how, the outcome will come to you in just unexplainable ways.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's a fantastic place to finish.
Yes.
So thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Oh, we're